It's the Fort Hays State University Coaches Show on Eagle Community Television, brought to you by Riverside Chiropractic, the Horseshoe Bar and Grill, and Eagle Communications.
And welcome to Tiger Talk. This is Gerard Wellbrock. We'll be joined by the basketball coaches at Fort Hays State as we have our first basketball edition of the program. Head women's coach Tony Hobson and men's coach Mark Johnson joining us. Both teams off to great starts. The women are 5-0. The 20th ranked men are 7-0 and getting set for the start of conference play this Thursday night in Warrensburg, Missouri against Central Missouri. The program brought to you again by Whiskey Creek Wood Fire Grill, 3203 Vine and Hayes, where the fire's always burning. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk with women's coach Tony Hobson. That's next on Tiger Talk.
But I'm a very active person and like to work out, train for different runs, things of that nature, and the back problem was keeping me from doing that, and now I'm able to do those, so it makes my life a little better and me a little happier.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ewing, and here at Riverside Chiropractic, our goal is to get you out of pain as quickly as possible and teach you how to stay out of pain.
Riverside Chiropractic, 1220 East 27th Street in Hayes. Listed in the Next Tech directory.
Get some great food.
The Horseshoe.
Looking for a place to feel at home? The Horseshoe Bar and Grill on the corner of 8th and Vine in Hayes is a place to get a great drink, some great food with all of the comfort of the old-time local pub. Owners Bob and Jennifer Huff welcome you to the Horseshoe Bar and Grill on the corner of 8th and Vine in Hayes, where you are a person, not just an order.
Welcome back to Tiger Talk. Gerard Wellbrock, head women's basketball coach Tony Hobson. The program brought to you again tonight by Whiskey Creek Wood Fire Grill, 3203 Vine. I think the coach and I agree, the bacon wrapped shrimp, one of our favorites at Whiskey Creek Wood Fire Grill. And Lady Tigers off to a 5-0 start. Obviously have to be very pleased about the way things have gone so far in the early portion of the schedule.
Well, I don't think I could really ask much more of our team to this point. Things have went about how we had hoped they would, and you never know how you're going to start out the season. And we started on the road, and I thought, probably had our toughest test for the first part of the game, the first half. We were up 9 at half, but didn't have everything clicking how we had hoped, and came out and played a good second half, and then really have just kind of carried that into the other 4 games.
What's, I guess, has stood out with your team this year, I mean, you're putting up some big offensive numbers. I mean, you had your lowest offensive output Saturday. You scored 86 against Tabor. What's been the difference this year, and why have you guys been able to score points at the rate you've been able to do it so far?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that we need to continue scoring that many points if we're going to defend like we have been. So I think our defense has been lacking a little bit, but I think all 3 of our new kids that are in the lineup that are playing big minutes for us are all good offensive players, and that's made a big difference. All of them on the perimeter, which is really where we needed the help scoring-wise. But when you can add players like Jill Faxon and Nikki as freshmen, and then add Chelsea Mason as a transfer sophomore, all 3 of them are very good offensive players, and they've really kind of put us up a speed, and we've always had the inside scoring with Kate and Tara. They're gonna give us a good offensive output on a consistent basis. So I think just the addition of some new offensive players that have really bolstered us in that category, and plus Beth and Taylor have both improved their games and shooting higher percentages, and I don't know, we're just we like running up and down the floor, and sometimes I think that hurts us defensively because we're getting out on the break before sometimes we have the ball secured.
And it's interesting. I mean, you didn't shoot the threes particularly well last year, and I don't know how good it'll be at the end of the season, but you seem to have more of a threat from the outside this season.
Well, it seems so far we certainly do, and again, all 3 of the new kids are pretty decent three-point shooters. I think they're all going to shoot between, at the end of the year, I'll bet they're all shooting between 34 and 40%, which is a good percentage from the college three-point line. And again, you have Beth hitting the occasional one, and Taylor also. So I think their confidence level is up, and they feel comfortable shooting it. And our bigs are always going to be there to clean up the mess if they do miss. I mean, we do rebound the ball very well.
You know, you mentioned Kate, and they're just a steady force. They have been for a while now. And Tara Inglesby, her senior year, and played well last year in a good supporting role, but it seems like she's elevated, especially her offensive game. She's put up some pretty nice numbers here early on.
Well, I was just looking. She's averaging, I don't know, right at 17 minutes a game playing time and averaging almost 14 points a game. So that's good output from somebody coming off the bench. Tara's always been a good shooter, and she seems to be getting a lot more inside points now all of a sudden, and it's really not a mystery to me how that's happening. I think she's getting some just great entry passes from Nikki, and those two are, you know, off the bench in the game together a lot of the minutes that Tara does play. So Tara gets good position, and it's just a matter of getting her the ball for her to finish. So really like how she's playing. I think her fitness level is way higher this year. She's moving better and can play more minutes.
Well, the Tigers get a really, really tough test right out of the gate to start conference play at Central Missouri on Thursday night. We'll talk about it when we return. Tiger Talk brought to you by the fine folks at Whiskey Creek Wood Fire Grill. And if you need a place for your upcoming Christmas party, better check out quickly. They've got the banquet room in back, or maybe need some food. They can cater your office party. So stop by and give them a call. Whiskey Creek Wood Fire Grill, 3203 Vine in Hayes, where the fire is always burning. We'll be back with head coach Tony Hobson right after the break, right here on Tiger Talk.
Fuse together your internet, TV, and phone seamlessly. Introducing Eagle Fusion. Now available at Eagle Communications, our community connected.
Looking for a place to get a great drink?
The Horseshoe.
Looking for a place to get some great food?
The Horseshoe.
Looking for a place to feel at home? The Horseshoe Bar and Grill on the corner of 8th and Vine in Hayes is a place to get a great drink, some great food with all of the comfort of the old-time local pub. Owners Bob and Jennifer Huff welcome you to the Horseshoe Bar and Grill on the corner of 8th and Vine in Hayes, where you are a person, not just an order.
And welcome back to Tiger Talk, brought to you by Whiskey Creek Wood Fire Grill at 3203 Vine in Hayes, where the fire's always burning. And we're joined again by head coach Tony Hobson. Lady Tigers opening MIAA play at Central Missouri, and boy, pretty challenging one right off the bat on the road at Central Missouri. Ranked 5th in the country. They did lose over the weekend. They'll probably drop a little bit, but still very, very good basketball team, and one of the teams that'll be right there in the mix to win the MIAA championship, you'd figure.
Well, you have to think so. They were picked to win it in one poll and picked to get second in the other, and they are ranked 5th. And they have a majority of their team back from last year that was a very good team, and it's just ironic that you end the season with the same team you open up with the next year. So you know, it's a tough road game to start play, but you know, you'll find out real quick. Maybe you don't want to find out, but you'll find out quickly if you're ready to go and if you're ready for conference play. So I know we'll get their best shot because of what happened here last year, the first game of the conference season, and we both came into that game undefeated. I think both 6-0 or whatever, and we really got them last year. So I'm sure they will be reminded of that, and just a very talented team. I mean, we have to figure out some way to guard them, not necessarily just always one-on-one, because I'm not sure we want to do that. I'm not sure we would win that game. They have some very talented offensive players, and it's going to take a real good effort from us to get out of there with a win. Yeah,
it's kind of interesting because you mentioned that conference opener a year ago, and it was like 34-1 to start, and you had the blowout win. Then you met them in a conference tournament semifinals, hard-fought physical game, and just a gut-wrenching loss for your squad. So kind of the other ends of the spectrum in both of those matchups. What do you recall from those two games and just the personnel they have back that makes them so good?
Well, you can start with, you know, the Flax girl inside, and she's their four-man, but she can play inside. She's a pretty good three-point shooter. Probably one of the top, you know, one or two players in the conference. I mean, if she would have played the whole year last year, she would have had a good chance to be Conference Player of the Year, but she wasn't eligible till second semester. So she's an excellent all-around player, very, very tough, rough kid. They have a Winkleman girl that is a 5'9" wing player that's very athletic, a good three-point shooter. And she played against us the first game last year, but not the second because she hurt her knee a couple games after we played them early. And then they have a real shooter in the Lewis girl. She'll take 8 to 12 three-point shots a game, and she's shooting about 40%, and she's got a lot of range. And so right there, those three are their, you know, probably going to be their primary offensive players. They have two new kids inside. They're 1'6'3", 1'6'2", both transfer kids, and they did lose their starting post player from last year, the Cadell girl that seemed like she'd been there a long time, but was a good, solid player for them. And so they kind of bolstered their size, and then they've got those three returners that are really good. And, they kind of play point guard by committee. They have 2 or 3 different kids that play at the point, but they're just athletic, and boy, if you let them get going, you're in for trouble. You just have to really dig in and play hard against them.
Well, and then that'll be on Thursday, then Saturday, Missouri Western on the road. Never easy to play in St. Joe, and a team that, I mean, they seem to maybe have improved a little bit. Their coach has been there a few years now, maybe starting to get them headed back in the right direction.
Well, I don't really know much about them yet, and I guess I'm just limited as a coach because I just have a hard time even thinking about Missouri Western until we're done playing, you know, Central, and we'll have to do that because I'll have to be a little prepared because we have such a short turnaround. But right now, I know that they did lose a couple over the weekend, but Drury is a good team that they lost to on the road, and it was, I think, a 10-point ball game, and they've already got a win over Washburn. Yeah. So I know Drury's solid, and I don't know much about the other team that beat them, but up until that point, they were undefeated, and they'll be a good team. They like to pressure. They'll play some zone. They'll junk it up on defense. So it's not the ideal team you want to play on a short turnaround without much prep time, but you know, we aren't going to have a whole lot of choice. And I don't know. I think our experience with Taylor and Beth, at least in the backcourt, you're talking about sophomores, but again, they still have a lot of experience. I'm hoping we'll be able to handle what they throw at us.
This should be interesting. Conference play all gets started Thursday night in Warrensburg. Should be a fun one between the Tigers and the Jennies. Coach, we appreciate the time, and we'll see you in Warrensburg on Thursday.
Okay, thanks, Gerard.
And that's Tony Hobson, coach of the Lady Tigers, off to a 5-0 start. Tiger Talk presented by Whiskey Creek Wood Fire Grill at 3203 Vine in Hayes. We'll take another break. When we come back, we'll shift gears and talk with men's coach Mark Johnson. That comes your way next, right here on Tiger Talk.
Together your internet, TV, and phone seamlessly. Introducing Eagle Fusion. Now available at Eagle Communications, our community connected.
But I'm a very active person and like to work out, train for different runs, things of that nature, and the back problem was keeping me from doing that, and now I'm able to do those, so it makes my life a little better and me a little happier.
Hi, I'm Dr. Euling, and here at Riverside Chiropractic, our goal is to get you out of pain as quickly as possible and teach you how to stay out of pain.
Riverside Chiropractic, 1220 East 27th Street in Hayes. Listed in the Next Tech directory.
And welcome back to Tiger Talk. We're joined now by the head men's coach at Fort Hays State University. Mark Johnson joins us. The 20th ranked Tigers off to a 7-0 start after their victory over Sterling College on Saturday at Gross Coliseum, gearing up for the start of conference play this weekend. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But I guess first off, 7-0, you have to be pretty pleased. Can't be a whole lot better right now than what you guys have shown.
Yeah, no, real happy with where we're at. Of those 7, I think 4 of those were away from home. So that's, you never know with a new season and a new team how they're going to respond to that. So I think we've gotten some good wins. We've played fairly good basketball, and at the same time, we need to keep getting better. It's for our level, early December is awful soon to be playing conference games, and we're not going to be where we want to be even right now going into the conference. And we need to understand that even though we're 7-0, we can still make a lot of gains, and there's a lot of areas for us to improve.
Well, you have a core back from last year, though, and you start looking at it, you lose a lot of scoring, a lot of offense, and so you have some new players filling some of those roles. It seems like everybody's kind of figured their role out and have played pretty well together from the start.
We had an advantage with Craig, Dwayne, and Carson. I mean, 3 guys that played a lot last year, put up big numbers. A couple of them were all conference players, so I think that gave us a head start on a lot of other teams starting the season. I think even having Tom Gabrick with us, he practiced all year, and even though he didn't play, he was with us. So you had almost 4 guys that have, know the system, been in it, and I think it maybe made an easier transition for some of our new guys to come in and perform the way they have.
You look at your schedule, you're 7-0, and I know going in, thought it was going to be a challenge to do that. I mean, this is difficult with non-conference, a lot of Division IIs right off the bat, most of them on the road. It was not easy.
No, I thought this would be our most challenging non-conference schedule we've had in a long, long time, and like I said, just really pleased with for us to come up and be 7-0 at this point. Probably going into the year, didn't know if we could do that, and our guys have done well. We've shot the ball extremely well through the first 7 games, and I think we can continue to do that. I don't know if we can continue to shoot at the clip we are right now, but I think we're going to be a good shooting basketball team all year. We're improving on the defensive end and the rebounding part of it, and I think as we get into conference this week, the defense is going to be much better, so we're going to have to execute at a higher rate.
I was going to ask you about the defense, because I know going in you felt that could be a challenge just by the makeup of this team, but it seems like they've made strides every week, and they're kind of buying in to become a pretty good defensive team.
You look at our field goal percentage defense to this point, it's been very good. If we could maintain that through the conference season and keep teams shooting at that percentage, I mean, we would be very happy with that. But I think we are getting better. I think getting Jake Stoppel back here coming up soon will make a difference. He's a versatile defender for us, and I think our guys are buying into how important it is to play defense, and we'll find this out this weekend. I mean, we're not going to be able to outscore some of our opponents like we have so far this year.
You mentioned Jake, the junior college transfer out of Wilson, and got off to a really good start for you, and then gets banged up with that ankle, and you kind of had to adjust a little bit and move some guys out of position with his absence.
Yeah, and I think this weekend it'll be big. Central Missouri is a little different team than they've been in the past. They're not quite as big, so I think we're going to need those more versatile players. Tom might have to slide down, and having a guy like Jake who can guard, even though it's a 4-man, maybe he's really a 3-man. So it's important to have those type of guys. Versatile. It seems like in Division II nowadays, your 4 men are getting more guard related than being big, and so you have to have those guys who are a little more can step outside and play defense even though they're an inside player.
You mentioned Tom, and he's kind of an interesting player. Redshirted a year ago from Croatia and went to junior college in Florida. Kind of a European flair. He's got a very quick first step, tall, lean guy, very lanky, and can make up ground. He's kind of an interesting player that you really haven't had in your program.
Yeah, he's for a perimeter player, he can play the 3-4. He's 6'6", he's long, and he's very athletic, very quick. I think the thing he's done so far this year, he shot the ball well from 3. He doesn't take a lot of them. I think he's only taken 8, but he's made about 5 of them. So he needs, that's the thing. Can he consistently make them come out and guard him and not let them back off? Because with his length, he can get to the basket, and he's a good passer. He can make plays for other people at times.
Well, we'll see how the Tigers fare as they open conference play. On the road, they'll be in Warrensburg, Missouri on Thursday night to take on the Mules from Central Missouri. We'll talk about that when we return. Again, Tiger Talk brought to you by Whiskey Creek Wood Fire Grill, locally owned and operated at 3203 Vine and Hayes. We're back with our final segment with Coach Johnson right after the break on Tiger Talk.
Looking for a place to get a great drink?
The Horseshoe.
Looking for a place to get some great food?
The Horseshoe.
Looking for a place to feel at home? The Horseshoe Bar and Grill on the corner of 8th and Vine in Hayes is a place to get a great drink, some great food with all of the comfort of the old-time local pub. Owners Bob and Jennifer Huff welcome you to the Horseshoe Bar and Grill on the corner of 8th and Vine and Hayes, where you are a person, not just an order.
Fuse together your internet, TV, and phone seamlessly. Introducing Eagle Fusion. Now available at Eagle Communications, our community connected.
And welcome back. Our final segment on Tiger Talk is Fort Hays State, and Coach mentioned it before the break. Hard to believe, early December, but MIAA conference play ready to get underway. Fort Hays opens at Central Missouri, and it's only one game, and you've got a long ways to go. I think you said it after the game Saturday. It's a marathon, not a sprint, but a pretty big one right out of the gate. That could have some big ramifications as to who wins a conference title when you take on the Mules.
Yeah, you look at our schedules 2 years in a row, and this year we have 7 of our first 10 games on the road. So, I mean, we have a big challenge ahead of us with, starting off here Central and Missouri Western. But yeah, Central's been there. They've been either one or first or second the last 2 to 3 years, so you feel like going in at this year they're going to be there again. Mm-hmm. We only get to play them once. So, this is a big game. If we're going to be there at the end. I mean, if we win the game, we still got a lot to do to try to be there at the end. But I think, it's just a big game. They're a good team. I really think they're a different team than they've been in the past. I think it's really we're a mirror image of each other. You got point guards that are athletic, can make plays. You got a big guy who can score, and then the rest can really shoot it. So really it's who's going to play the best defense, who's going to play the hardest, and then probably who's shooting it the best that day, because I think both teams can really shoot the basketball.
Yeah, I think I was looking. They'll have one player who played in that game in Hayes a year ago. So both teams a completely different look, and for some of the newcomers may not understand the ramifications, but this has developed into a pretty good rivalry between the two programs.
Well, it has. I mean, I think we've been in the league 7 years. This will be our 8th. I think if you look over those 7 years, the teams that have had the best finishes, I think, is us in Central Missouri. So I think it kind of has developed into a rivalry. It's you wish you get to play them twice. You wish you could play them in February when the games are kind of on the line like we had a few years ago. We had a real big crowd because it was a really important game. But, the situation is what it is, and we just need to come out here and again, treat it like any other game. Come out and be ready to play, and don't try to deviate from what we do. Don't try to play any different, but also have maybe as just a heightened sense of importance.
It'll be interesting with the way the schedule format is with the East and West Division, and only playing those teams once, kind of like the RMAC days when you had the divisions, and it puts more premium on those, I think, other division games because you only see them one time in a year.
Yeah, in the RMAC we kind of had a heavy loaded side. It was us, Kearney, and Metro that were kind of the premier teams, and it was really whoever played Fort Lewis and Mesa at home or who got them on the road. And you hope that's not the case this year, but it very well could be. Where you're playing Central Missouri or Northwest Missouri. I think on paper going into the year, you feel like our division's a little stronger, but you never know. That's got to be played out as the season goes on. But I think, you got to find a way to get some wins when you're playing the other division. We have 4 of these games are on the road and only 3 at home. So we're going to have to win some games on the road if we want to be successful against the East Division.
And you'll stay out on the road Saturday at Missouri Western. Their record may not look great, but they seem to be a much better program.
Yeah. We went 5-3 and had a hard schedule so far. They have played Augustana, Northern State, Midwestern State, but I think new coach. I feel like their talent level is probably better than it's been the last couple of years. They have the mainstay of their 3 best players, and the new coach brought a couple guys with him. So, it'd be I think a much tougher task this year than they were maybe the last year or two. So, really challenging opening weekend for us. We have an opportunity to, separate ourselves early if we can go out there and get these 2 road wins. That would put us in a great position.
All right, should be interesting. That all starts Thursday night in Warrensburg as the Tigers take on the Mules. Mark, as always, we appreciate it, and we'll see you this week.
All right, thank you.
That is head coach Mark Johnson, and the Tigers and Mules, women at 5:30, men at 7:30 Thursday night from the Multi-Purpose Building in Warrensburg, Missouri. And of course, you can hear it on Tiger Radio Mix 103, 510 with the Auto World pregame show. That's going to wrap up our first basketball installment of Tiger Talk. Big thank you to the Hayes Orthopedic Institute at Hayes Med, the Taco Shop, G&L Tire and Automotive, Golden Bell Bank of Hayes and Ellis, Adams Brown, Barron and Ball, Couture for Men and Women, James Motor Company, and BTI, and of course, Whiskey Creek Wood Fire Grill. where the fire is always burning at 3203 Vine in Hayes. For Coach Johnson and Coach Hobson, this is Gerard Walbrock. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
It's the Fort Hays State University Coaches Show on Eagle Community Television, brought to you by Riverside Chiropractic, the Horseshoe Bar and Grill, and Eagle Communications.